Dad and I, nearly adult male, do not have a good relationship. When my mom was sick with cancer, my dad was out cheating on her, and he left me to take care of my younger siblings, a female tween and a male tween. He even let me catch him with two different women during that time. My mom was on hospice, so it was tough not to say anything, but I was so overwhelmed and scared that saying the wrong thing would take her from us sooner. This was 4 years ago, and I never forgave him for what he put me through. I told him before that I never wanted to be like him when I grew up, and that he was no role model for me. I also called him a failure as a husband and a father. He was angry at being called a failure as a father, but he wasn't there when his 3 kids needed him the most. Instead, he was screwing women on the side. He also said he loved my mom and never wanted me to say he was bad as her husband. I said I found it hard to believe and that he would never convince me he loved her. After Mom died, I was still mostly in charge, but eventually, my siblings started to pick up some skills, so I wasn't basically doing it all. This really helped and made us regular siblings again, instead of me being almost like a dad. But it was also tough because they were really young, and I hated that they were forced to grow up so fast. Losing Mom did that anyway. Dad met someone a couple of years ago and introduced us to her last year. It only took a few weeks for her to move in. Then suddenly she's pregnant, and they raced to get married. My dad's wife tried to involve my siblings and me in her pregnancy excitement, but I wasn't excited, and I don't think they were either. I'm pretty sure we all avoided her as much as we could. The baby was born in December, and she's often contacted me to help, but I don't help her. I check in on my siblings where I can, but other than that, I focus on myself. I know that baby is my half-sibling biologically, but I don't care. I don't see them as a sibling, and I'm not planning to bond with them or keep them in my life once I'm in college. I won't speak to my dad either, just my siblings. Recently, Dad's wife has been pressing for more of my help. The other day, she asked me why I could be such a great big brother to my younger siblings, but I've never even held her baby or cooed over her baby. She told me she sees me do so much for my siblings and knows I was the person who helped them through when my mom was sick and when she died. She told me I should want to be the same for her baby. I told her it wasn't my job to help and to get her husband to help if she needed it. She told me she wanted her baby to be accepted, and none of us had accepted the baby yet. None of us had even interacted with the baby yet. She said it's not fair and she needs help. I told her I was not her helper and that she needed to hire someone if she wanted help, or again, to get Dad. But I won't be doing anything for her or her baby. She called me disgusting. Am I the idiot? Not the idiot. If it were me, I would tell her all the nitty-gritty details of exactly why you had to be there for your siblings, so she understands why you're not interested in your dad's new family. Tell her you're sick of being parentified while your mom was dying and your dad was just interested in his next fling rather than caring for his kids. You want a life. She's fit and healthy. She should look after her own baby, or the dad should step up. Dad can't step up. Considering his track record, Dad is already screwing the next side piece. Tell her the advice to the mistresses I heard was, when you marry a man who cheats on his wife, you marry a man who cheats on his wife. Ooh, yes. This right here, said politely and with no malice, it should help give her a much-needed reality check. I mean, she knew what he was like as a father. Why the heck would she think it would be different now? He wasn't around for them, and he's not around for her. She needs to take count of her actual situation instead of demanding the parentification of her stepkids, 'cause did it before? Also, I can't fathom the father's decision in all this. He'll end up with all his kids not speaking to him if he continues the way he is. I've been fostering Maya, pre-tween, for about 7 months now. I work at a children's hospital, and Maya came in around 10 months ago with some pretty horrific injuries. She was in hospital for 2.5 months and had 3 surgeries and a lot of PT and OT. She didn't have any family, so I took care of her while she was there. I got her some clothes and toys, learned how to do her hair, watched Frozen 50 times, stayed the night before and after surgeries or when she had a rough day, cooked for her, and introduced her to fruits and vegetables. I fell in love with this little girl and had to keep her. I was able to get licensed pretty quickly because of my job. So when she came home from the hospital, she went straight to me. The public school sent the teacher to the hospital and then the house for a while. When she was able to go to school, she was put in special ed class in a public school with the plan to eventually get her into mainstream classes. There weren't any problems with the public school or her class. It just wasn't a good fit. She wasn't making friends, wasn't making any improvements with their speech therapist, and wasn't learning much even though her teachers tried. Her school got her 5 hours a week of tutoring, and she'd hold my hand and nap the second we got home. She's not much of a napper. I decided to look at private schools and found a Montessori-inspired school that was 45 minutes from my house. We took a tour, she did the assessment, and she got in. She started in March, and she's been doing great. She's speaking more and more clearly. She's learning so much, and she even has 2 friends. The school is expensive though. After my financial aid, I'm paying $1,200 a month for her tuition, and when she starts going to aftercare, it'll be another $450 a month. I was talking to my sister about Maya and this school and how she and her husband might want to consider it for their older daughter, a toddler. The preschool would start next year for her. She asked me why I'm sending a kid I might not even get to keep to private school, and it'd be a waste of money if she went to a family member. I told her not to worry about me wasting my money on Maya, and that I was happy to pay if it helped her. She kept pushing, and I told her that if this is how she felt about my kid, I would have to distance myself from her and would not be helping with her kids anymore. Now she's calling me sensitive and claims that I'm abandoning my family. Am I the idiot? Not the idiot at all. Geez, your sister is cruel. I have a foster kid, and my partner and I routinely go above and beyond for this kid because he deserves it, just like little Maya deserves the standard of care that you're providing. Your sister's mentality about relationships and foster situations is highly problematic, and she really should take a closer look at why she feels that way. Your money, your choice, and anyone who wants to treat a foster kid as somehow less than can shove it. My father didn't speak to some of his family for years because they said he should send me back to the adoption agency and stop wasting money on me because I had poor health. He told them they needed to find Jesus before they ever spoke to him again. Humanity needs more people like you. Thank you for taking care of her. I hope she stays with you forever. My friend's parents are shelling out a frankly mind-blowing amount of cash for her wedding. Before someone says it, yes, of course I'm jealous. Envious? I don't know. Who wouldn't be? She's literally looking at vineyards in Europe. She will have the type of wedding many women dream of and could never have. Her parents have 2 requirements. She uses a clergy member from the religion she was raised in, and the food is made according to their religious dietary rules. Literally nothing else. If she wants to get married on the Goodyear blimp while it's parked on Mars, I'm sure they can make it happen. She just can't have any bacon. All she does is complain about these restrictions. I was sympathetic at first because I get she feels kind of trapped in these restrictions for a religion she doesn't even really believe in. Sometimes she does. She's very wishy-washy about it. But after hours and days listening to her complain and even cry about it, I had enough. I told her that if she really wanted her wedding totally her way, she should just pay for it. She has the money to have a budget that would be higher than most people's. She immediately scoffed at the idea, and I dropped it. Once again today, she calls me sobbing. She wants a specific food at her wedding, but it must be made non-traditionally due to dietary restrictions. Apparently, this is the end of the world if your buffet can't have a dairy-based salad dressing. The "Kim, people are dying" meme played on a loop in my head. I was literally so done at this point. I told her I couldn't listen to it anymore, to call someone else. She got really upset with me. We both said things we shouldn't have. Now I'm getting texts from my other friends. How dare I do this to the bride? She's engaged, which means no one can criticize her for the next 14 months, apparently because it's her special time. And wedding planning, with 2 wedding planners, mind you, is the most stressful thing that's ever happened to anyone. So now I need to apologize. I will say she apologized for calling me a very bad word on the phone. I told her I accepted her apology, but I was not going to apologize for what I initially said, only the heated words afterward. Like I said, I was sorry for calling her a bridezilla, which is apparently worse than the C word, because that's the thing everyone was focusing on. Here's the thing. Everyone wants to be a bridesmaid and get to stay in whatever Downton Abbey house she chooses. So they're all kissing her butt, in my honest opinion. I don't think I'm an idiot for trying to give her some perspective. Am I the idiot? Unlimited budget or bacon? Such an impossible choice. Why can't you understand the dilemma she's facing? A good friend would be there for her, supporting her, while she makes this overwhelming monumental decision. Not the idiot. Wait, remember the dairy-free salad dressings? I cannot remember the salad dressing at the last wedding I went to. Weeping over salad dressing is bizarre. When the bride is freaking out about the wedding, I don't trust the marriage at all. I'm sorry for the bride's future soon-to-be ex-husband. I think you hit the nail on the head. Her other friends want so badly to be a part of this wedding that they give her a pass on her outrageous behavior. Her parents are paying for everything and have set very reasonable parameters around it. I agree with you. She needs to count her blessings. This is supposed to be a happy day for her, and she's only focusing on the negative. Those are barely restrictions. You can't be a sounding board forever. Good on you for setting boundaries. My daughter Inez is in the 8th grade. I'm a single parent who's barely getting by. We can't afford the activities for the graduating class, like trips to New York, dances, etc. I told Inez this, and she seemed to understand that we just couldn't afford it. I got called in to talk to her English teacher about a paper she wrote last month. The prompt was, what I did on spring break. Inez spent it at home or tagging along with me to my job, but instead, she wrote this 10-page story about how she found this door in the office I clean that took her back to the past. She wrote a science fiction story instead of the paper her teacher wanted. She got a D. Inez wanted me to convince the teacher to change her grade. I told her that she couldn't submit short stories instead of the homework, so she deserved that poor grade. But Inez said that she doesn't have anything to work with. Otherwise, she hates English. We're going back and forth. She has a C in English, and I told her she's grounded until she raises her grades. Inez is upset and won't speak to me. I had another meeting with a school counselor who suggested that I was being too harsh on her and that I should encourage her to write more. That's not the problem. My problem is that Inez doesn't listen to me or her teachers and acts like she's living in that dimension in her stories. That's not how the real world works. Am I the idiot? You are the idiot. So the school counselor's telling you that you're being too harsh, and your response isn't to own the fact that you're being too harsh. Your response is to blame your daughter for not listening to you. Gee, I wonder why she isn't listening. Could it possibly be that you're not listening to her, really listening to her, and helping her cope with her reality, and for trying to escape her reality in a short story she wishes was real? You want her to live in the real world, which to her probably really sucks. You're doing nothing to help your child at all. Did it ever occur to you that maybe she gave an example of how she spent her time during spring break? Making up stories in her head is an incredibly great way to spend a vacation when your family can't afford to take you anywhere. She probably didn't have much material to write about what she did on her vacation, nor did she want to open herself up to being judged for being poor. Her teacher is an idiot. She should have talked to your daughter and asked her quietly what she did on vacation. When she heard that she was sitting at home doing nothing, the teacher should have accepted her work. You could advocate for your daughter. You should advocate for your daughter. She needs you in a world full of criticism, and rather than be there for her, you've added to her burden. At least if you attempt to talk to the teacher, she knows you're on her side. Plus, this may be this kid's only outlet. And now her parent is like, you're grounded for trying to be creative. Stop trying to make her face the real world. She's already doing that by accepting that you can't afford the nice things she wants. Her creative writing is her outlet for coping with the suckitude of her reality. Don't take that away from her. My parents divorced 8 years ago. My dad took it very hard, and he's a shell of a man he was before. My mom is fine. She's dating again and taking alimony from my dad. I decided I would not be in my dad's position, so I decided to never get married. When my girlfriend and I met, it was clear that I didn't want to get married. She was okay with it too. We were in our mid-20s, so it wasn't that big of a deal. But she got pregnant. I left the decision to her. She decided to keep it. She gave birth to our son about a year ago. She's now bugging me for marriage, and I pretty much refused. She's threatened that she would leave, and I still refused to budge. She called my mother. My mother is very fond of her, and she called me to tell me that I'm about to lose a very good woman. I told her that I never wanted to get married. I never told my mother my views on marriage. She started bugging me for a reason, so I answered that I don't want to end up like my dad when I'm in my 50s, broken, while my ex-wife moved on with her life as if nothing had happened. My mother wants to talk and present her side of the divorce, but I'm refusing to hear it. When they got divorced, they did it in a way as to not involve me, and they just said that they grew apart. I knew it was BS, but I was in college and didn't want to deal with any of it. I don't care what happened. I can see the result, and I don't want it to happen to me. I've decided to go no contact with my mother for the time being. I'm refusing to take her calls. I really don't think she has anything worthwhile to say to me. If my girlfriend wants to leave me just because of marriage, then there's nothing I can really do except hope that she finds in herself enough love to stay with me. Am I the idiot? Not the idiot for not wanting to get married. Your girlfriend's the idiot here because she knew your views on marriage from the get-go and is pushing for something different now. But you really should seek some therapy. This front you're putting up isn't healthy at all. You're more than welcome not to believe in marriage. You're right, and you don't have to change your mind. But the whole reason for how you feel really does need to be processed because it's putting you in a fog. The OP has a child with this woman and is headed towards having this child live through a split family and still lose the woman that he seems to love. Why does a piece of paper make it different? That said, I also blame this girlfriend. She knew this before getting into a relationship and decided to have a child and pursue marriage. So I will go with everyone's the idiot here. I think you are the idiot for simply not wanting it over your parents' divorce. I wonder if you know deep down it would shatter your image of your dad to know the whole truth. If your dad is still a miserable man 8 years after his divorce, he's made a choice to wallow in it rather than move on, heal, and live his life. That's not your mom's fault. Refusing to hear her side is a pretty idiot move, especially if she thought sharing it with you would change your mind. All this for a divorce your parents went through after you were no longer living in the house. It's clearly profoundly affecting you, and you really need to talk to someone about it.